Hey YouTube, I'm making this video for anybody out there considering quitting their job and taking that leap of faith. So this video is for you and some frameworks to keep in mind before you even make that transition, because I just found out last night that 47 million people last year of 2021 quit their job. So that must mean I'm not the only one thinking about it because 11 months ago, May of 2021, I actually quit my job, and it was probably the biggest decision I've ever made. And luckily, in this last 11 months, I've made more for myself than any other job has ever paid me. So I think I made it here successfully, but there was a few things I wish I would have known. And there's some things that I did correct that made sure that it was successful when I did it. So I wanted to share that with you guys, just 3 frameworks. And before I get into that, if you don't know, if you're wanting to leave your job or quit your job and you just hate it, you can't take it anymore, and you're like, man, I just don't know what I'm gonna do though, reach out to me. I have a way of making income. I call it the side hustle. Anybody can do the greatest side hustle. I made a video about it. You can go check it out. But basically, I'll explain that at the end. But I'll get into the 3 frameworks and then finish it up at the end of what that side hustle is, that I can share with you all my secrets of what I did to make these last 11 months more successful than any job has ever paid me. But let's get into number 1. Number 1 is, before you even quit your job, you need to figure out where's your next income coming from. Don't quit your job if you don't know where your income is going to be coming from next. That's I gotta stress the importance of this, because if I were to take that leap into working for myself 11 months ago, but I didn't have a vehicle or a way to generate income, I would have just took that leap and said, yeah, I hate my job, I quit. And then my bills would have been continuing to stack and stack and stack, and my stress level would have gone through the roof. Shoot, I would have been bald. That's not the way to do it. I had a friend that told me it perfect. He said, when you stop your cash flow from coming in, it's like you're bleeding out. Imagine playing Black Ops back in the day with your friends on Call of Duty Black Ops when zombies came out for the first time. Ooh, I know you guys remember that. And say you got downed, you're playing Kino and you got downed, and all of a sudden you're just scooting on your butt with a pistol, trying to be effective, but you just got a weak ass pistol. And all of a sudden your screen starts turning red, 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 red. That's how you know you're dying out, and you're screaming at your friends, revive me. But you're dying out. That's what happens when you stop your cash flow. You start dying out. And in this world, when you take that leap, if you're lucky, you might have somebody revive you, but most of the time you don't have anybody to come through and revive you. To where you got to figure out, before you take that leap, how are you going to revive yourself if needed? How are you going to stay alive to where you don't even get downed and you just keep continuing to level up and get to that next round in your life? Hopefully that analogy made sense, but you can't stop your cash flow. And for me, before I took that leap of becoming self-employed, I had 4 months of an experience with a side hustle on top of my job. I was working full time, but then I had a side hustle that I was doing like 10 hours a week that I proved to work. You know, I made, like I said in my last video, I made like $1,000 in my first month, and then my second month was like 2,000, and it stayed steady between 2,000 and 3,000 on top of my job for like 4 months, to where I had that experience, and then I stopped. I got a job for 6 months, and within that 6 months, I realized, bruh, I can't do this job thing. But basically, I had 6 months of me hating my job and wanting to make that shift. So the number 1 thing that I was confident about is I had this 4 months of experience where I was making money part-time, that I had the confidence of, hey, I did it then, why can't I do it now? So after 6 months, I made that transition, and that was the number 1 thing I had in mind. Is I know that I'm not gonna just quit and just like float and hope that things pan out and that money's just gonna come to me. I knew that I could support myself. So that's very key. I'll give another example of my best friend, Nick. Shout out to Nicholas Ventura, Nick the Presence, the CEO, the General. That's my boy. But basically, before he quit his job, he was a manager at AT&T, had one of the most successful stores in his area. I think like 9 out of 12 months he led in his region. Just a beast at what he did. But he figured out that he wanted to level up, but he wanted to take some time off before he leveled up. So he wanted to quit his job, but before he did that, he figured out or signed up for Uber and got that all solidified to where when he quit, I remember when he quit too, because we went to Cabo and celebrated.
Montana. I got a house on the beach. I got a yacht in the sea. But by the end of the day, I just got my family and me. Keep it 100 like Will. I got a house on the hill.
Times. But before he quit, he made sure that Uber was all set up and then took that leap. And then for a month or two, he did Uber. You know, he had a nice, cushy, comfy savings put away because he's good with money. And then made that leap. And then for a month or two, worked Uber. But then another opportunity came into his life where he was able to then take that, stop doing Uber, and now he's has a 1099 sales job where he's making more than he ever made before. So that's another example of he planned an income source before he made that leap, if that makes sense. So that's number one, is make sure you have at least a plan. But best case scenario, you already know, like, okay, I have money gonna come in here. But second thing, let's get into it. The second thing that I would suggest is something that I did not do. And I stayed 6 months stagnant in my business because I didn't understand this point. So it's extremely important. The second one is having structure in a system once you are working for yourself, or once you have made that transition to have an income somewhere else. Like, for example, for me, when I made that transition, it was up to me to figure out my schedule for my workday, figure out when I was going to pick up or deliver couches, figure out what I was going to do in my morning times. And you know what I did first 6 months? I was flopped on the couch, chilling. You know, it's because I came from a job mentality where I was in a job all my life to where all I was thinking about was, I can't wait to have freedom. I can't wait to be free. I can't wait to be free. But what I didn't realize is these jobs I've had, they gave me structure at least. You know, school gave us structure. Jobs give us structure and systems to follow. Like, for example, my last job, they gave me a truck. They texted me every morning the jobs, the list of addresses that I would have to go do, and told me exactly what I needed to be doing at those jobs, to where I didn't have to think. I just came in, plugged into the system, and, you know, slurped my coffee, then just go to my jobs, take care of it, get on a roof in this rain, and then bang it out, and then go home. And then, you know, wait for the weekends so I can celebrate. But they had at least a system for me to follow. So when you're getting out of a job, you have to create your system, or else you're going to be wandering like a wandering generality, or just floating and drifting. And for anybody who hasn't read Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill, I'll put it right here, great book. But he talks about drifting and how nothing good comes from drifting. When you're drifting, all your bad habits come out, all your doubts, your fears, your insecurities start to arise, and you just start turning into someone who's has no purpose, someone who's not on a mission, someone who's not clear. And that goes to, I should have prefaced the system by saying this: you need to know where you're headed. The reason you would implement a system is to get you somewhere. It gets you to a destination. So before you even develop a structure or destination, you need to figure out where the hell you're going. Like for me, when I first started working for myself, my goal was to make more for myself than I've made at any other job. And for me, that first month was $4,000 or more. So I had that in mind when I started my first month being self-employed. I said, I got to figure out how to make $4,000 or more. And I did that. And I achieved that goal. And I was able to put the action steps in to do so because I had a goal in mind. So I wanted to give you that example. I have a good example. I got to share it with you guys. My dad, he's a refugee from Cuba. Shout out to my pops. His name's Puro. That means pure. But basically, he came to the U.S. from Cuba on an inner tube in 1994. But he tells me the story that him and his friend were planning to come together, and they had a certain location that they were going to meet at to come, but they didn't have like a definite date. They just had a plan, but no date yet. You know, it was coming up pretty soon, but they had no definite date. But basically, my dad heard from somebody that his friend was leaving without him. So that night he dropped everything. My dad just dropped everything, didn't get to say bye to his parents, his friends, nobody, and went to that spot that night in the middle of the night and ended up seeing that his friend was about to ditch him. That his friend was about to ditch him. But he found out that the reason his friend didn't tell him is because his friend had a lady that he's been with, and that lady had a son that was coming with. So my dad's friend gave his girl and the child the spot that my dad was supposed to be in. So my dad said, it's okay, I understand. He had a big heart because there was a kid on the raft. My dad said, okay, I will be the motor for you guys. We're headed to Miami. I will be the motor. I will put my body on the edge, and I will let my feet kind of just paddle us there. So my dad was going to be the motor. Basically, my dad was the system of them getting to the U.S. Shout out to my pops. And, you know, I gotta show him some respect, share a story out here. But anyways, he did that, and he was the system to get to the destination. They didn't arrive though. I'll save that for another story, or for another day. But basically, you have to have the system in place, the structure, and the destination. Let's get into the third and last thing. I'll make it brief and quick because I want to get into a question I know you guys are having right now is, you know, how can I find an income source to where I can quit my job and it's possible to quit my job fast? And I have something for you, and I shared it in my last video, but I'll get into that in a second. The third one is you got to get your mindset right. And this isn't more important than anything else I shared in this video. Like I said, it took me 6 months of listening to audios like 5 hours a day to get the belief in myself that I can change, that I can be in charge of my life, that I can bet on me, that if it's to be, it's up to me, that I can take charge and take the bulls by the horn and really be in command, be the CEO, be the general in my life. And that took me a long time to develop that type of confidence. And because I was scared, I was uncertain, I've been taught a certain way all my life to get a job and have security and stay secure and benefits and all these things we all been taught. But I had to change that and take a risk on myself. And I have the tools to help you guys do that. If you're struggling with that and you're struggling with limitations and doubts, I've gone through all that, and I have the tools that I can share with you if you want to get through that. And I would be more than happy to share that with you guys, because like I said, that's the most important thing it takes to take this leap successfully. But last thing I'll share is the source for those that don't have a plan to get out of their job and you just hate your job and you want to get out of there ASAP. Message me. I got something for you. In the last video, I talked about couch flipping and furniture flipping. For 6 months, I just did it out of my garage. All you need is a truck and some space. And if you don't have money for a truck, well, we can talk about that. That's more one-on-one stuff. But this is a legitimate way to make some income so that you can at least relieve some pressure. Even if you want to keep your job and you just want some extra income, this is it. With that being said, if you have any questions, message me, like and subscribe, throw some comments down below. Tell me what you liked. Tell me which analogy you like. Anyways, love you guys. I'm gonna post this and I'll be back for more. So see you guys. I'm getting drenched out here, but I'll be back for more.